Have you ever been driving along in Great Britain and wondered what on earth the numbers actually mean? Why is it the A40 here, the B4525 there, and then suddenly the M4 motorway appears, and everything turns blue and serious? In today's video, I'll be demystifying one of the quiet triumphs of British organisation, the Great Britain Road Numbering Scheme. And honestly, it's more elegant than you might think. Motor cars were booming after the First World War. Traffic was increasing rapidly. But the road network, a confusing patchwork of historic routes with romantic names, Watling Street or the Great North Road, and absolutely no coherent numbering system. So in 1923, the Ministry of Transport introduced a national numbering scheme for major roads across Great Britain. Not the UK, as Northern Ireland has its own separate system. The idea was simple: give roads numbers that actually meant something geographically. And here's where it gets clever. The entire system is built around London. 6 major single-digit A roads radiate out from the capital like slices of a pie: the A1 road, A2 road, A3 road, etc. These 6 roads divide England and Wales into zones. If you're in the wedge between the A1 and A2, you're in Zone 1, so roads there begin with a 1. Between the A2 and A3, Zone 2, and so on. The first digit of an A road tells you which zone it's in. Beautiful. Unless, of course, you're near a boundary, and things get interpretive, because Britain loves a rule, but it also loves bending one when it's inconvenient. A roads were, and still are, the principal routes. They can be major trunk routes, like the A1, or smaller regional connectors. 1-digit and 2-digit A roads were historically the most important. 3- and 4-digit numbers usually indicate shorter or less strategic routes within a zone. And yes, there is status within the numbering. The lower the number, generally, the more important the original route. Road number envy is real. Motorways arrived much later. The first actual motorway in England was the M6, which, at the time, simply bypassed Preston. The M1 opened shortly afterwards, in 1959, and was the first full long-distance motorway. It didn't follow the 1920 system, because motorways were an entirely new category, and consequently follow a slightly amended zoning map. Motorways use the M prefix. Some are standalone, like the M1, M4, and M6, while others are motorway upgrades of existing A roads. For example, the A1 has motorway sections called the A1M. And here's the subtle logic. Motorway numbers usually mirror the A road zone they're in. So the M4 is in the A4 zone. The M6 is in the A6 zone. It's not random. It's methodical. It's British. Although there are exceptions, because of course there are. The M62 motorway, for instance, stretches coast to coast and crosses zones, which makes it a bit of a geographical rebel. B roads are the secondary network. They follow the same zonal logic as A roads, but are generally less significant routes. They connect smaller towns, act as feeders into A roads, and occasionally take you somewhere unexpectedly delightful, or unexpectedly muddy. The numbering works the same way. First digit equals zone. So the B3157 in Dorset makes sense, it's in Zone 3. If you ever see a B road number that feels wrong for its location, congratulations, you've spotted a historical anomaly. And yes, there are enthusiasts who track these things, properly, with spreadsheets. Now here's where it gets interesting. A trunk road isn't about its number, it's about who maintains it. Trunk roads are strategic routes managed by central government, in England via national highways, and in Wales and Scotland by their respective governments. Many trunk roads are A roads. Some are motorways. But not all A roads are trunk roads. So A road describes classification, whereas trunk road describes responsibility. It's a bit like being called Steve versus being head of the household. One's your name, the other's your job. Now for the fun bits. When the system launched in 1923, some towns lobbied intensely to be on lower-numbered A roads because it implied prestige and importance. Road numbering politics, very British. Then there are anomalies like the A38, which is astonishingly long and leaps across zones in a way that would make a 1920s planner twitch. When the 1922-23 numbering scheme was introduced, Scotland was given its own zonal hub. Instead of London, the centre point is Edinburgh. From Edinburgh radiate Scotland's single-digit A roads, the A7 road, A8 road, and the A9 road. These divide Scotland into its own numbered zones, just like London does for England and Wales. So if you're driving on the A90 up towards Aberdeen, you're firmly in the 9 zone. Logical. Elegant. What's fascinating is that the system joins seamlessly at the border. South of the line, London zones apply. North of it, Edinburgh's. 2 systems, 1 island. Somehow it works. Let's pause on the A9 road, because this road has lived several lives. Originally, the A9 road ran from Edinburgh to Inverness. But in the 1930s, major renumbering extended it dramatically, all the way north to Scrabster. Why? Because planners wanted a clear, continuous route to the far north, so other numbers were absorbed and replaced. Imagine being a perfectly respectable A88 one year, and then suddenly, poof, you're part of the A9. Roads don't get much say in the matter. The zoning system depends on roads not crossing zone boundaries unnecessarily. But Britain isn't flat or straight. Some long roads predate the zoning system and stubbornly refuse to behave. The A1 road famously crosses multiple zones because it predates the neat geometry. And then there's the M25, London's orbital motorway. It circles through multiple zones, but keeps one number. If the zoning system were invented today, planners might lose sleep over it. What's remarkable is that over 100 years later, the basic 1923 zoning system still underpins navigation across Great Britain. Despite motorways, bypasses, reclassifications, and decades of change, the core logic holds. It's quietly brilliant, functional, mostly consistent. And once you understand it, you'll never look at a road sign the same way again. That A47. You'll know roughly where you are in the country, just from the first digit. The M5. You'll understand its geographical family. It's a century-old system that still guides millions of journeys every day. Not bad for something designed when most vehicles had hand cranks. Next time you're driving and you spot a number, take a second. There's history in that digit. Geography. A little bit of administrative pride from 1923. And, if you find an anomaly, welcome to the club. You're officially paying attention to Britain's roads.